everybody. Welcome to Coming Up Roses. I'm Kevin.
And I am Kelly, and today is Saturday, September 3rd, 2022. This is episode 74.
Take two.
I got that completely right that time.
That's right. We had a little snafu with the sound, too. So, how's everybody doing this week? We had a good week.
Probably one of the best weeks ever.
Yeah. We got some very, very good news.
We'll start off with, I went back for my first full week of, like we call it teacher work week or in-service or pre-service or whatever they want to call it.
Just meetings and bullshit.
Meetings and setting up and planning and,
bullshit.
I think I finally got my room set up in a way where the flow makes sense to me.
Yeah?
It's been 12 years. This is my 12th kindergarten year in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I change things, and I think this year the flow finally feels right.
Good.
Things seem to be in a place where they have a purpose, and it feels right, and it's just crazy the difference that a shape of a table or the placement of a filing cabinet can make. So that all feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And the class number sizes are high. We talked about this a little bit last week.
Did you get an influx at all?
We did. We're pretty much all up to 21. The end of, I think when we recorded last week, I was at 20 or 21. Everyone else was lower by one or two. And now I think we're all pretty much up to that 2021 mark. And we are a Title I school, and so we're used to there being a 19-1 cutoff.
Yeah.
So we are each a few over that. And last year, when we went a couple over that, we had a teacher added. And they were refusing to add a teacher to us this year. So
yeah, well, probably because it can't. There's already teacher shortages throughout the country. Virginia Beach has got a teacher shortage.
And that's probably part of it. And there's probably more dire need elsewhere, I'm thinking. And I get that. Like, if I get that. So we'll just have to make it work, but it'll be okay. It'll be good.
It'll be fine.
It's funny the mental difference between 20 kids and 21 kids. Because with 20 kids, I was like, okay, I have an hour and 5 minutes for small group reading. I can meet them for 15 minutes. I can do 4 groups for 15 minutes. And I'll have 5 kids in a group, which to me is too many. 4 is ideal. 3 is like a dream, right? But we can make 5 work. Got my table set up for my space and space for 5 kids. And then you add one more, and it's like, well, now I have a group with 6. And that, to me, is really pushing the limit of what I can expect to get done in 15 minutes with 6 kids versus 4 kids.
Yeah.
And not only that, but then when they're not with me and they're in an independent station, they're independent with 6 together rather than just 3 together.
Can you do 6 groups of 3?
I mean, no, because that was still only 18. But I can't I don't have to do 10. I'd have to do 10-minute groups, and there's nothing I could get done in 10 minutes. That's not long enough, I know it's crazy. The difference between 10 and 15 minutes is huge. So, I don't know. In my head, I'm just like, all right, I'll just have to go with 6. Like, I don't know what else to do. As the year progresses along, I guess I can adjust here and there, and I don't know. It'll work. It'll work out.
Yeah.
I already know one is moving at the end of September, so.
Oh, really?
Whatever. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
My mental state this year is so good. We met the kids Thursday. They came in for Meet the Teacher. Mm-hmm. And they had a 2-hour window to come in, and we pretty much had met everybody by, like, the 1-hour mark. But they are very sweet, very active. A couple of them were, like, around the room pulling out the Play-Doh and pulling out the math manipulatives. One little kid came up to me, and he's like, "Can you help me with these?" And he had a big tub of dominoes. I was like, "Oh, not right now." Like, And the parents just let them do that. They just let them pull books off the bookshelf and pull stuff out of cabinets. One little girl went, like, where I was sitting behind me. I had all my reading materials, and I used Poppets a lot of times for my reading lessons. And she, like, found one of the Poppets and was playing with it. And I was like, you really should have asked Mrs. Rose if you could play with that. And she said,
She's like, who's Mrs. Rose?
Well, she says, can I have it? And I'm like, no, you can't have it. It belongs to me. We need to put it away. Like, I shouldn't be doing that when the parent's standing right there.
Yeah.
You know? But I have to keep telling myself that there are a good percentage of kids that are worse. Their behavior is much worse when the parents are around than when the parents are not around. So hopefully those little, things will get under control pretty quickly.
The hierarchy changes. Mom and dad are still tops.
Yeah, and they get away with everything with mom and dad.
Yeah.
So... but clearly, because mom was just letting her rummage through my stuff. So... but they were all very sweet, and I had... my role was just to sit and chat with the kid for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And this one little boy was, like, kind of being shy. And I said, come on over here and sit with me. I have to ask you about your favorite things. And so he was kind of, slow coming over. And I'm like, tell me, do you play video games? And he said, yeah. And I said, what's your favorite video game? And mom and dad were standing off, and the dad goes, this is where we get in trouble. And so he started talking to me about Fortnite. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I don't know a lot about Fortnite. Tell me about Fortnite. You have to build a community or something, right? He goes, no, you kill people. And you literally could see the parents like, oh my God. And so I kept questioning the kid. Well, tell me more about this and that. You could just see the parents like cringing the whole time. It was so funny. I mean, if I can connect to a kid with Fortnite, that's what I'm going to do, But that was kind of funny.
Well, we're going to see Child Protective Services any day now.
That was really kind of funny. And then I would ask them if, they picked out a pencil bag, and I'm like, do you know how to write your name? So I had them all. And the ones that were struggling a little, or the parents were like, that's not how you write an S, or that's backwards, erase it and fix it. I was like, just let them show me what they can do. Like, back off for a minute. But yeah, for the most part, it seems like it's going to be a real sweet group.
Good.
I had some kids come back to see me who are starting
That's
high school
awesome.
this year.
Yeah.
My first group of kindergartners are graduating from high school this year.
I know, isn't that crazy?
So, yeah, it's crazy. And then some of my kids from last year that really, one little boy in particular who we had quite a little road together last year, was at the door at the end of the night, couldn't wait. And I was still talking to one kid, and he just couldn't wait to get in. So finally he comes, and his grandma's like, he has been waiting all night to be able to come in and see you. And I got the biggest hug, and when he stepped away, he was teary. And she said, he has done nothing but talk about you all summer. And I mean, that's the moment. Those are the moments right there that I'm like, I am definitely in the right place.
Especially since last year was so hard.
I mean, there was so much last year that I walked away with really needing this summer to recharge, and I was at the end of my rope. To see those, and some that were the cause of some of that, come back and mean so much to them. And they were showing me pictures of their dog, and telling me what they did over the summer. And then even, one of my students who was autistic last year came back, and I said, have you met your new teacher? And he said, yeah. And I said, what's her name? And he goes, Mrs. Rose. The mom's like, we're working on it. But those parents I had never met before, so it was good to see them.
Yeah.
Being proactive and present. And so I don't know. I walked away from the night having a really good feeling that it's going to be a good, productive year.
I think so.
So I'm excited to get started on Tuesday. And I'm sure Tuesday I'll be dragging home because the first day of school is always so stressful.
Yeah.
And, our biggest stress, we've spent so much time with transportation. How are they getting home? I don't care how they're getting here. How do I get them home? Because God forbid we put them on the wrong bus, or we think their parent pickup. And some parents are like, I'm going to pick them up from school the first day. Like, please don't. If they're going to ride a bus, let's start that on day one so they get the routine. And, yeah, so it was a good week with that.
Good.
So
that makes me happy.
Feeling good about it. Team is working together nicely. You know, it's just, I walked out usually Friday when I leave of that work week, and I know like the next day I come back, we're
kids
like
on.
taking off running. I'm like, oh, I have to get this done. I have to get that done. I didn't get time to do this. And this time I walked out like calm, like I feel ready.
You're a lot more at ease this year than you have been since the pandemic
started.
Much
more. And people noticed.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, and some of it is you're feeling better. You know, you've lost weight. You're moving around a bit more, and you feel better. Mm-hmm. So that helps too. But yeah, and since the pandemic started, school has been a real struggle for, I'm sure, for
everybody. Oh, for the students and the families, and I mean everyone. Yeah. This is like the first year since we shut down that there's really no visible
like COVID
protocols. They're still there. Like if you test positive, you still have to be out for 5 days. You have to wear the mask for a couple days after or whatever. But we're not spacing them out, and the parents are welcome in the building, and you should have seen the crowd of parents.
Yeah.
That were back and excited and like, oh my gosh, like
some of them it's the first time they've been in since before the pandemic started.
First time they've stepped into school
at all. Yeah, mm-hmm. They've got a kid in third grade. They've never actually been in the building.
Yeah, so it felt good. It felt really good to have.
Wonder how Jimmy feels about it, because his job's changed. I mean, it's got to be a little easier to say nope, sorry, you can't come in.
Yeah, but know, he takes the brunt of those that don't tolerate that, because we do still have a lot that, they don't want to have to show their ID when they come. Yeah. You know who I am, I don't have to show my ID. Well, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And then this year with like our birthday cupcake thing, like cupcakes have to be pre-approved by the nurse, and they can't bring them in unless they have the pre-approval. So we're kind of like, there are going to be parents that just show up on the kid's birthday with cupcakes, and he's going to have to turn them away at the door. And that's not going to go over well. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll have issues with that. But just send in, I put in my video, like, send in non-edible treats for your kid to share. And it's not a problem at all. We don't have to worry about allergies and dairy intolerances and
$20 at the dollar store and you're done.
Yeah. So, I know it is what it is. But we did have a really difficult conversation Friday because the school security is always a topic. Keeping the doors closed and you're watching and making sure when you're out at recess, your head's on a swivel. You're not just in your phone or not paying attention. And one of the conversations was about if they installed these new not drills, but warning systems in the building that can just be, they're in multiple places. Should something happen, that people can alert from multiple places. And we had this conversation about if we have an active shooter in the drill, what the teacher's responsibility, all these decisions you have to make, like can you run from the building safely with your kids, then do that. Like run to the mall or run to the, whatever. And even if it's 3 hours later, you call and you're like, I'm at Dillard's with my class. Like if you're safe, you're safe,
Yeah.
And then, or do you stay and hide? Do you barricade the door? Do you decide to take the person on? Or, all of these things. And part of the conversation was, it used to be part of our protocol whenever they would call an internal lockdown. As the teacher, I would check the hallway to make sure there weren't kids. Because, if they're walking back and forth to the bathroom, if there's a kid in the hall, we would bring him in the classroom. Now it's like, if you feel safe doing that. And so the question came up, like, what if there's a kid at the door? Like, they knock at the door. Do you open the door and let them in? Because we've been told you don't open the door for anybody. And that having to make that decision of, do I leave this kid stranded in the hall? Well, I know a 5-year-old's not going to be.
5-year-old wouldn't, but let's say some kid in 5th grade just happens to be.
I mean, it's a bigger problem in high school.
Yeah.
Completely understand that. But do I have to make the decision between, like, leaving that kid in the hallway?
Yeah.
I personally couldn't do it. I would open the door and let the kid in. I mean, unless I know the shooter's, like, standing right there. But, like, to put yourself in that place where there are 20 kids in the classroom and 1 in the hallway. You know, what do you do? Because if you open the door, you're likely to endanger the 20 that are in the classroom. So it's like that kind of sobering conversation, but that you have to have, unfortunately, these days. To, like, it's just a lot of crazy stuff with that, but hopefully we'll never have to worry about it.
Yeah.
We're prepared if we are. I know what we're going to do. I have a plan in my head.
There you go.
So, luckily I have a back door out of my classroom. Not everybody has that. So, if we can leave the building without going into the hallway. And there's this, you know, huge self-storage place right next door to us on the other side of the trees. We wouldn't really have to go far to get there, you know, and I just, like, stick us in one of these, whatever. Took a picture of the class list, you know, with all the phone numbers on my phone, so that if we go, because I'm not stopping to grab, you know, that I can get in touch with parents or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, crazy. That's kind of crazy, but welcome to teaching in today's day. But that was kind of a low point of my week. We had a very high point this week.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
do you want to get into that?
Yeah, I had said I wasn't going to really, like...
Yeah, but it's good
talk about it, but... and
it has to do with... there's controversy because of the loan forgiveness that Joe Biden signed in, that right, wrong, or indifferent, and I have my opinions about it. This is not that. But you did get...
Well, there's been a program in place, I want to say since 2008, called Public Service Loan Forgiveness. And it's for people who work in public service, teachers being among them, and especially if you are a teacher in a Title I school. So you teach underprivileged, you know,
and you've applied for this since it started.
And when it first came out, the deal was you would apply for this, you would be put on you would start the program, you had to make 10 years of payments. At the end of the 10 years, they would forgive the balance of your loan. So I called, because I have student loan debt, and went through this whole process at the time. And they said, well, we have to put you on an income-based repayment plan, which just means they only look at how much money you make in a year.
Yeah.
And they take a percentage of that, which put my payment over $1,000 a month. He said, you have to be on income-based 10-year repayment plan. Blah, 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 blah. Comes out to be $1,000 whatever a month. And I was like, well, hold on. If I'm paying a 10-year repayment plan, at the end of the 10 years, the loan is paid off. So to say, well, you have to pay for 10 years and then we pay off the balance, there won't be a balance because the loan will be paid. And he said that's pretty much how it works. So I was like, well, that's great, but I can't afford to pay over $1,000 a month on my student loan. So I don't want to do that.
And you're probably not the only one that happened to.
I wasn't the only one that happened to. Because, and then again, I think I tried once again too, and I was told the loan was too old.
Yeah. Because it was the cutoff was
The
2007.
cutoff was the year
when you
after I graduated.
Yeah.
So I would have had to, like, I graduated 1 year too soon to qualify for it. I tried a couple of times, and finally I was just like, screw this. I'm just going to have this debt for the rest of my life. That's just, I know teachers who were teaching 3 years and getting loan forgiveness and then quit teaching,
Bitches.
And so it was just super frustrating to me because I'm like, and I believe in, like, you take the loan, you should repay it, right?
Yeah.
But the government stepped in. My loan was not a government loan when I went to school.
Right.
The government stepped in and took over all the student loans. So, and then proceeded to just, nobody knew what the hell anybody was doing.
Yeah. Which is why this is such a huge problem now.
In 2018, they came out with this public service loan forgiveness program was mismanaged. And all these people who thought they were getting help, like there were people who signed up and did that and then didn't get the forgiveness at the end of the 10 years and like all this other stuff. And they said because it was so mismanaged, they were doing a temporary where you could apply and they would basically look over the life of your loan. And if you made 120 payments, then you would have the balance of your loan forgiven. So I was like, I don't even want to go down that road, because I don't even want to open myself up to this again because it's so frustrating.
Because it was basically Lucy who kept pulling the football away.
Yeah, it's like you're always getting the rug pulled out. No one knows. And I remember even back when I was in college, like the federal aid office, financial aid, was like, no one ever told you the same story twice. Like, it's just screwed up. And so I didn't do anything about it then. And then I kept seeing, this. And then Joe Biden got elected and put the pause on payments. And then they were like, don't make payments. In fact, if you make payments, we can refund you what you paid. They froze the interest and they froze the payments. And they're still frozen. So
vote buying.
Talking to mom and stuff, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to go through and try this program one more time. They lifted you don't have to be on the income-based repayment anymore. Come to find out, my loans weren't direct government loans, even though I thought they were. Again, complete miscommunication. So I had to consolidate.
It was owned by National, I can't remember the name of it, but the first word was National.
American Education Services.
Yeah.
You're
thinking that's government.
That it wasn't. So I had to consolidate my loans. There's two. I have a subsidized and unsubsidized loan. Consolidate them into these direct government loans, which I did. And basically that was just taking it from the lender it was with to just being serviced by the government. And then applied. And they were like, it'll take us 120 days, 4 months to look into the program, whatever. So I was checking the account pretty much every day, And then one day it just popped up and it said, here's where you stand. You've made one qualifying payment. And I'm like, again, here we go. If you've recently consolidated, it might take us a couple more months to look back through your payment history. So I was like, all right, I'll just wait and see, not getting my hopes up at all. Then Biden announced the $10,000 thing.
Yeah, for everybody.
Which
is different than what she was doing.
Yeah, which is a different thing.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped looking after a while because I'm like, this is just pissing me off. So, was it 2 weeks ago?
Not that long ago.
I don't know. It was on a Saturday. I just was in the morning doing this and that, and I pulled up the account, and it said I had a zero balance in the principal. And I'm like, well, that's new. And they had said we might make changes to your account periodically as we're doing this.
Don't call us. We don't know what's going on.
So Right. Don't call because we can't give you any more information than what you can find out online. So I clicked on like check my progress of the.
Let Cox put some shit like that on their website. Yeah.
I clicked on the button that's like check my progress of the public service loan forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And it said, this information is not available on your account.
So something's going on. Don't know for sure. It could
I'm
be
just,
Lucy
okay,
getting ready to pull that football away yet again.
It's Saturday. It's the weekend. I got no email, no message through their inbox system, nothing in the mail, nothing.
But you screenshotted it.
I did screenshot where it said zero balance paid in full, right? Because I'm like, that looks really nice. And then Sunday, nothing changed. Monday, nothing changed. Tuesday around 12:30, I was at school just eating lunch. And I'm like, let me go check it. Oh, there's a message in my inbox. Congratulations, you've met the qualifications and made all the necessary payments. The balance of your loan's forgiven. Zero balance. All that debt. And I'm not talking
10 grand.
10 grand.
10 grand.
It was way more than I ever borrowed because of the interest compounding and stuff over the last however many years. And there were times I went into deferment for like financial reasons here at home or whatever. But that interest all compounds. And so
it actually makes retirement a possibility.
I mean, we're talking like a substantial debt reduction.
Yeah.
So I just stared at my phone and I was like, I can't even believe I'm reading this.
Lucy did not pull the football away. I can't even believe
I'm reading this.
Lucy did not pull the football away.
And then I woke up the next morning and I'm like, I don't have a student loan. For the first time since I was 18.
Yeah.
I just don't have a student loan anymore. And in a way, I feel like the whole like forgiveness of loan thing kind of bothers me. And
here's where I'm at on that, because this is different than the thing that Biden's doing with the 10 grand. This is the same as what Cox does for its employees. Canon did it. I'm sure a lot of companies do it. I know that there's law firms that will pay off their lawyers' student debt. There are private companies that will either completely reimburse you for classes and tuition, or they will freaking flat out pay it or pay your student loans. There are companies that do that as part of your salaries or bonuses to get you to sign on. This is no different than that. Your employer is the one doing that. So I don't have a problem with that. That's not a problem. And they've been fucking around with this for almost a decade.
I liken it more to military service. Like you go in and you serve in the military and then you get a certain amount. You get your schooling paid for.
Right.
And that's basically this. Like if you get your degree, like I got my bachelor, I got a major in interdisciplinary studies, a minor in education, then I got my master's degree in education. If you did that and you work for a certain number of years serving under, represented populations of kids, which I did. I've done for 22 years.
Specifically, you could have easily gotten a job at one of the foo-foo schools in the city.
Yeah, I don't want to work for a foo-foo school, but
there you go.
Yeah, so that in that way, I'm like, okay, this is just like being reimbursed by your employer for your.
It's exactly
service.
like being reimbursed for your service.
So I mean, that's how I live with it. But I'm talking.
This is somebody who
people pay less money for a home in certain parts of the country than I had in student loan debt. So it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Because, like, on the everyday monthly thing, it's not changing anything right now because the loans have been on pause since Biden got in office. So it's not like I've been putting money out every month for the past however long. But
we're not going to be buying baloney when that's over.
Just to know that retirement is 6 years away after this year, and that won't be something I need to consider, is tremendous.
Yeah.
So that put me on this high, and I even had a conversation with my principal about something, and I was like, nothing you can tell me today is going to ruin my day. Like, bring it on, because it's just been the best day. just that realization, and it took a couple of days to be like, God, I don't have a student loan anymore. In my adult life, I've never not had a student loan. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just complete craziness.
But it's good stuff.
But really, much, yeah.
You deserve it, baby. You did the work. You did the work. You've been in a school that you didn't have to teach at. You could have easily gotten a job at any school. You could have followed any of the principals that left your school, and they would have been ecstatic to take you along with them.
I didn't stay where I am, though, because of that.
I get that. You stayed because you care about the kids.
I love that population of kids.
Your dedication to that is exactly what that program was for.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I mean, it did rub me, like, when I would see
young girls getting out after a couple kids.
Yeah, I'll just put up with this for another year or two and get my loan paid off, and then I'm going
to... marry this rich guy and start pumping out kids.
No, I mean, that doesn't bother me if you want to...
Yeah, but after they get their loan forgiven.
Oh, well. And they should have a program, I'm telling you right now, for special ed. I know they do have a special ed loan forgiveness for teachers of special education. Their loans should be completely wiped out.
Yeah.
We are in such dire need for special education teachers right now.
Mm-hmm. Good
ones. They need to get on that right away. And they need to be almost like, if you go in and you major in this and you provide 5 years, like we'll pay that for you.
Like going to high schools for scholarships and shit?
Yeah, it needs to be happening because something has to give. These sped teachers are so overworked.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I remember when we went to the high school with your mom to award Taryn for the scholarship from the foundation. There were other sponsored scholarships being handed out, and one of them was amazing. This kid got a full ride to a college, 4 years guaranteed full ride, and then a guaranteed job when he left to anywhere in the education field.
Yeah, I mean, they have programs like that. I'm saying what they need right now
is to specialize
for people who are in college right now, like, get your SPED endorsement, work your 5 years or whatever as a SPED teacher. They need to do something. Just in the amount of paperwork they have to do.
Yeah.
It's 100 times the paperwork I have.
Yeah.
So, our schools will crumble without them, and they need to do something. They need to do something to entice people to go into and stay in that field.
Yeah.
I'm not cut out for it. I am not cut out for that kind of stress. The amount of meetings they go to, the amount of paperwork they have to do, it's just ridiculous. They almost should have someone who just does the paperwork.
Yeah, because there's also just the physicality of the job.
It's way more, depending on, like, the type of disability of kids that you're working with. And,
yeah, it's no joke.
Yeah, it really isn't. So, anyway, I'll get off my school soapbox, but that was, like, the shining star moment of the year.
It's good stuff. So it's good stuff. I'm glad that happened.
Me too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So retirement is actually in the realm of possibility for us now.
It's slightly more possible now than it was a week ago.
It's not for me. I don't think I'll ever be able to fully retire because, I just can't.
Well, I'm not talking about retiring and not working.
Yeah.
I'm talking about retiring from teaching and then maybe tutoring or something else. I mean, I don't want to just sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
But being in the classroom, like, I'm getting ready to where I'm like, in another 5 or 6 years, I'm going to be like, okay, no more of this. Because
I'd be able to retire if they would start throwing some money in the $ K Rose VA so I get paid to do this podcast. That'd be great. Like, share, and let your friends know. So
we will never make money at this podcast, and we don't want to either. Trust me, you don't want the headache of feeling responsible for that.
I'll sell me undies.
Would you?
I'll sell some.
You'll sell out. You'll be a sellout.
Hell yeah! Plus, they get free underwear.
But there comes with that, like, when you start getting paid for shit that you really have to... Like, you edit yourself right now. You filter what you say because of me.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because you know it makes me uncomfortable. There are certain topics that I don't want to just take the leash off of you on.
Yeah.
You know, so if we were paying someone, or if someone was paying us, you would be beholden to whatever leashes they put on you.
I would make sure that they understand that there may be leashes, but I'm doing shit my way, and if they don't like it, then we can.
I'd be the
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson.
Oh yeah.
I'd be the Walt Flanagan.
You'd be the Walt Flanagan, and that's fine. That works for us. But it's like, the what was it? You watch, like, we're fans of Big Brother. If you watch Big Brother, there's always one point in the season where they watch whatever movie that Paramount's putting out that they're trying to push. And this week they had that. They had the movie they're trying to push. And the people watching the movie were so like, oh, it's the best movie ever, so funny, and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like clapping when the movie's over.
It didn't really feel authentic.
Yeah, that's such horse shit.
And it might be a very good movie. It's called Bros.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's probably a fine movie.
It's Judd Apatow. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
I'm playing into my Walt Flanagan right here. Did I get that word right?
You did. You got it great.
And his movies are generally really
Yeah, he did 40-Year-Old Virgin. He did that Knocked Up.
Yeah, but they just seemed like they were told to be a certain way. And I mean, Big Brother is unscripted and...
Yeah, it's largely unscripted, but then you can obviously edited. Tell when when they're like told, hey, you've got to say this.
Yeah.
And then just sit there and clap when the movie's over. When's the last time? I mean, I've only been in one movie where people clapped at the end. And I can't even remember. It was, I want to say it was Endgame.
I was at a movie where they clapped at the end, but I can't remember what it was either.
Yeah. Leave in the comments.
Did they clap at the end of Impractical Jokers movie?
Oh, you know what?
They probably did because most of the people there were like huge fans.
Yeah. And that was different because it was a room.
It was a community full of people sharing. It's almost like a cult thing.
Yeah, the cult just got through watching for the third or fourth time. No one in that movie when we went and saw it for the first time.
Getting back to Big Brother, though, they had an interesting week.
Yeah.
So if you don't watch Big Brother, you can tune out, fast forward, whatever. Last year they had a really good group of people who made a very strong alliance.
Probably, in all honesty, the best alliance of all time,
right?
Big Brother.
And so, if you don't know what Big Brother is, they put all these people in a house for 3 months, and they vote somebody out every week, and the winner gets like $750,000 or something.
Yes.
And so it's all about forming alliances with people and lying and doing double alliances, and
But last year they had...
No one ever really plays an honest game start to finish.
Yeah, no one ever has. But last year they had an alliance, and it was an unusual circumstance. They had a lot of African Americans in there, and they said, you know what? Let's all make sure that one of us wins. It doesn't matter which one, but one of us has to win. Because up until then, they had not had a black player win Big Brother. And it was like, they called it the cookout, and Their strategy was brilliant. I mean, it was
because they each then paired up with someone outside of the alliance.
Yeah.
So that if they ever got nominated together, there was always someone else that could go ahead of them. It was brilliant the way they did it.
Absolutely was brilliant.
And they were
absolutely 100% worked.
It was a great season. It was a good group of people. They stayed loyal to each other even though they felt more connected to their outside people. Mm-hmm. But that group got to the final 6, because they bonded together over race.
Yeah.
So this season, there's a player in the house, and there's a number of people of color in the house. Mm-hmm. And he started saying we have to be careful because these people look like they're buddying up, and it's looking a lot like what happened last season. And, he didn't come out and say we need an all-white alliance. Yeah. But it really was kind of what he was like, we can't let them...
It was shady without being shitty, which is hard to explain. You'd have to watch it. It was shady without being shitty.
It wasn't malicious.
Yeah.
He was just talking like, I'm noticing that they seem close.
And it's not like it was
And
out
it was
of the
only
blue.
based on the fact that they were all
Black.
people of color.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't all black, because there was the Brazilian girl the Muslim... It wasn't Joseph.
Yeah.
Muslim or something. So he's like, they have a uniting cause, pulling them together.
Yeah.
And we need to be mindful of that. And so some of the other players were like, look, we can't just assume that they're doing that based on nothing other than race. But it came out this week. Of course, the timing of when it came out was beneficial to certain people. But they had this really good conversation where they sat down and they were like, you might not understand what you're doing when you say that. Like, you're just making an assumption based on nothing other than our skin color, And so the kid who had said it was very open to, like, I've lived a sheltered life. I'm from Utah. I might have these unconscious biases I wasn't aware of. Like, I want to learn more about it. And all those people were so good about, like, sitting with him and talking to him. And because they really do like each other as people.
Yeah.
And it was like, God, I wish that people in society as a whole could sit like this.
Yeah.
And have productive conversations where you're not accusing somebody of being a racist. They never said that. They were never like, oh, you're a racist. You're playing a racist game. They were like, just look at how this is sounding.
Yeah.
And even like the couple of black players were like, I don't think you're racist. I think you're a great person.
Yeah.
It's just you haven't lived a life where you've had to be aware of this, Really, I wish people could talk to each other like that.
Yeah.
More often about a lot of different things. People get so tied up in, like, being right and being hateful.
Yeah.
All you need to do is talk to people like they're humans and be open to accepting that the way you perceive things might not be the way they actually are.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting...
Difficult.
You have to say, look, maybe there's something I can change in myself here. Or be aware of this in myself and be careful not to...
Reality TV got deep this week.
It did, and I'm glad to kind of see it. And it didn't get ugly, and they didn't just say, you're hateful, racist. And
they could have easily tore this kid apart.
Oh, they could have.
They could have tore this kid apart. And there's been stuff that's happened in Big Brother before where some shit goes down, and it's like this person fucked up their whole life outside of the game.
They lose their jobs and stuff outside of the game and whatever.
Because they said something stupid or they did something stupid. And their whole life outside of the game is...
Well, he never maliciously mistreated anybody. Like,
this kid was obviously just, just naive. He's extremely naive. And, but, it
was an interesting
shady,
week.
not shitty, I guess is the best word, yeah. But, man, it was good TV, though.
Yeah, I like to see people just being human to each other.
Yeah.
And, human, not hateful.
Human, not hateful. Yeah, you can do that.
So, yeah, that was good. We were listening to Tell 'em Steve Dave this morning. They were talking about handshaking. One of them said he wasn't going to shake anybody's hands anymore because, and this was from like 2018, he got really sick at a Comic-Con or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's from all, like, the shaking hands all day long. And not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. It led into...
Yeah, because he probably was exposed to, like, thousands
And this
of
is
people.
Pre-pandemic. I mean, it probably doesn't happen anymore. People are probably way more careful about shaking hands and stuff now, but...
They focus on their inner Howie Mandel, wiping their hands after every interaction, fist bumping, and then, like, wiping their hands off.
Yeah. It turned into a conversation about hugging.
Yeah.
And your comfort level with hugging.
They even started talking about people that get paid to hug. Like these like cuddle sessions or something. Yeah.
Snuggle sessions.
And there's something to that. I mean, they even talked about it during the pandemic, is that, because of the forced separation, that there is a level of intimacy that you would have with people, not necessarily a spouse, but, that that was missing and probably, still is to a large degree. So, yeah, there is something to be said for physical contact with people, whether it's shaking hands or a good old, big old hug.
The funny thing is, like, hugging is, the act of being hugged by somebody, it sets off stuff in your brain and the pressure points in your body. Like, some people just aren't huggers.
That's true.
I don't really think I'm a hugger. Like, when I meet a group of people, it's not anxiety. It's not like I'm, like, worrying about it or anything. But I am aware of, should I hug this person or not hug this person, or shake their hand or not shake their hand? And, like, I'm not comfortable with just going up and, like, hugging somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm not comfortable with someone just coming up and hugging me.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I won't turn away or say, no, please don't hug me. Like, I'll hug the person. It's fine. But there is a level of, like, being conscious that this makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing better for me in the entire world than getting a hug from you.
Yeah. I feel the
same. Like, I literally hug you, and it's just, like, everything else just... So, it has a lot to do with the people who are hugging you, I think. You are more of a hugger than I am.
Which is weird, because I wasn't until you were here, until you were in my life. And when we started talking about this, it just now dawned on me probably why. Because, hugging you is, like you said, is the greatest thing ever. But when we first decided to get married and we were going to the Catholic Church, mm-hmm. the first time I was in there, and I remember distinctly, it was like such a shock to me, was that there's a portion that, first of all, it's a workout. The Catholic Mass is a fucking workout. I'm sorry, but you're up, you're down, you're kneeling, you're up, you're down, kneeling, up, down, singing, up, down, kneeling, singing, up, down,
right,
and then you get to a point where you just start, like, hugging people, like they go do the thing with the
like
priest.
A peace be with you,
peace
and
be with you,
and then you.
And I'm trying to follow along, and next thing you know, you start hugging me, and then I'm supposed to, like, they're like hugging strangers and stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is all this? And I really liked it, so I became a hugger because
I never
of that.
hugged strangers. I would shake hands.
Yeah,
and even that level, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, but before you came along, it was like I hugged Tabitha. I wasn't even big on hugging my family.
That's
right.
different, though.
She was always a hugger.
Yeah.
And Sherry. So, Sherry's one of my closest friends from a long time. She's always been a hugger. And, but now I'm all about throwing up a hug. I love hugging
Now, my close friends, I have close friends that are huggers. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, people I don't really know.
Yeah, people you don't really know. Because we were talking about, like, because they were
Kevin
talking about...
was like, who would I go to for a hug if you weren't around?
Yeah, because they were talking about, because their thing was, like, these people getting paid to cuddle and hug and whatnot. Like, first of all, they asked us, would Walt's wife consider it cheating? Which, of course, he was like, yeah.
If you found out your husband was going to a professional cuddler and having cuddle sessions, yeah, that would be a little bit like...
Yeah. I need the receipt, motherfucker.
I wouldn't even, like, even if it was, like, straight innocent, nothing but cuddling, the act of cuddling is intimate enough.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't want you doing that with anybody else, much less paying somebody to do that with you.
What's this $20 extra? It's nothing. What's this $20 finishing maneuver? No.
Here's a strange thing. If I found out that he spent $100 at a strip club, I would have less of a problem with it.
That's weird.
Than if I found out you spent $100 for a cuddle session with somebody.
Yeah.
There is a clear, like, at a strip club, there is not...
There's no sex in the champagne room. Yeah.
Personal whatever between... Now, the cuddle session, I'm not even thinking sex. I'm thinking it's just... Even clothed, If you were laying on a made bed, completely clothed, just cuddling, it's too much.
Yeah, because there's an intimacy involved.
There's an intimacy that you don't get that in a strip club.
No. You're separated by the stage and whatever.
Yeah, there's no intimacy there.
Yeah.
You know, now, I don't know, lap dance might be a little much, but, like, you know, I would be like, oh, okay, like, you could have just told me you were doing that. Like, I don't think it would be a relationship problem.
No.
You know, if you're like, hey, Chuck and I are going to go for this bachelor party tour, I'd be like, all right, have fun. You know? But if you were like, hey, we're going to go do this cuddle thing, I'd be like, no, you're not.
Yeah, the last time I was in a strip club, I was like, you know, this is the last time I'm going to be in a strip club. It's just not my thing.
I mean, it's just like going to a movie. Like, it's disgusting. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't want to go along with you. I don't find any of that interesting. But it's separate for me. You know, if you said, oh, we're going to go try this cuddle thing, I'd be like, no, you're not. Mm-mm. I'm not doing that.
No, I wouldn't do that either.
So, yeah. I don't know. Like, when I meet someone new and they hug me, it's weird. It's like, you're in my space. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Now,
but it is different when people that you really know, though. Because when we were talking about it, we were like, you know, hey, I'm out of town. Everybody in the house is out of town. And you really need that hug. Who are you going to?
I mean, I don't ever feel the real need. Like, I'm not going to go seek anybody out just to get a hug.
Yeah.
When we go to Robin and Troy's, like, we always hug Robin and Troy when we go over there. That is, I'm not considering that. That's different. Mm-hmm. But, like, yeah, just strangers. Now, my students hug me all the time.
Yeah.
You know? I don't feel like that's not appropriate. No. I mean...
But they're kids.
I mean, I'm sure there are people who think teachers shouldn't be hugging on kids, but I never initiate a hug.
Yeah.
If they come to me and they need a hug, they're going to get one. You know, but yeah, they're kids, and I will tell you that one little kid that came back from last year hugged me, and it like made my soul feel better. Like, I'm serious. Like, that was just the sweetest thing ever. You know, so yeah.
And that kid from 5 years ago that came up.
The high schooler?
No, the other one, the one going to middle school.
Oh yeah, well, I have a special place in my heart for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't know. Is it a personal space issue? A boundary issue that people have?
I think there is kind of I think people have gotten away from the physical touch, but I think people could start getting back into it. I think it starts with the handshake or the fist bump. The hugging, I think, should probably be reserved for close friends and family.
Did a lot of handshaking on Meet the Teacher, because I do put my hand out to greet the parents. Like,
did you wash up after?
Probably hand sanitized.
There you go.
It's just been so long since I've been around that many people.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna go to meet the teacher and then hug the teacher, you know?
No.
But there are close friends that I have.
Parents don't do that, but like.
Yeah, there are friends that I have that if I, you know, particularly ones I don't see all the time, they're getting a hug. You know, Maggie's getting a hug. You know, we see Maggie, she's getting a hug. Sherry, she's getting a hug.
Yeah. But there are people out there who hug anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not me.
Yeah.
All right, so.
You know what's a good hug? Some Cash App people.
Oh my God, Kevin. I like hugging on my puppy dog.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
She's a good puppy.
Oh, we're doing some this or that, right? What is it?
This is a great conversation. No, what is this? What would you do?
What would you do?
How many you want?
I'll do 5.
Do 5. That seems to be our go-to number. I'm hoping I'm picking from the right side here.
Yeah.
I feel like I might not be, but...
Ooh. This is deep. We have not talked about this.
Okay.
Is it right to kill someone who committed murder? So basically, are you for the death penalty?
All right, let me be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Vigilante justice is not right. So if
no
someone,
Punisher.
like A Time to Kill, that guy going to the courthouse. Although that guy never killed his daughter, just raped her. But I do believe in the death penalty.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think if you are caught dead to rights, there is zero question that you committed the act. And it has to be more than just killing someone in a rage. Like, if you're fighting with someone and you kill them, that I don't necessarily, like, or you find some guy, you come home and he's in bed with your wife and you go into a rage and snap and you're beating on the guy and kill him. That I don't think deserves the death penalty. You walk into a school and you shoot up and kill 13, 14, 15 people and they catch you, you deserve the death penalty.
So, like the kid in Florida.
Any of these mass shooting people.
Well, he's the only one they pretty much caught. You know what I mean? Most of them end up dead.
The one who shot up the 4th of July parade.
Yeah.
If you admit to it, I don't think you should be able to make a deal that if you plead guilty, you don't get the death penalty.
It's usually just to try to avoid the trial.
I understand, but some things are more important than saving money. If it was my family member that was a victim of that person, and I understand saying it's wrong to take a life and you have to take that stand, and it is wrong to kill. But I also believe that if you are that evil of a person, I don't want you living the rest of your days out anywhere. Those people go to prison and they lead for them a fairly normal life in prison. I don't have a problem with the death penalty. I know you do. This is an area where Kevin and I don't agree.
I used to be very pro death penalty. I used to say it's the ultimate deterrent. People are like, well, people still commit crime with death penalty. And it's like it deters that person from ever committing a crime again. I've since over the last, say, decade or so changed my mind slowly. But I've gotten to the point where, and it's a matter of trust. The idea, yes. The idea that the government 100% has the right person and they're putting a needle in their arm. There's a ton of people. It's happening more and more often where you see it where somebody spent decades in prison and it was on bunk evidence or eyewitness testimony that was dead wrong, proven wrong by DNA and all this other stuff. And there's even a story with Kamala Harris when she was a DA that she was keeping evidence away from a trial because she'd already gotten the death penalty conviction and they had stuff that could have overturned it, and she waited on it for a long time. It finally got overturned, but I mean, she held on to that stuff because it helped her career. Shit like that happens. So I'd rather them not have that ability. Just because of that. And, there you go.
I mean, but I go back to what I was saying about you. It has to be, irrefutable that you committed the crime.
Yeah. I mean, and there are crimes like that. The kid in Florida that shot up the school. They've got video of him pulling the trigger. So, yeah, I mean, there's that. But, I don't know. I just assume not even take the chance that the government's going to fuck it up because the government's going to fuck it up.
If you receive a fun invitation from someone you don't like, would you feel any misgivings about accepting?
I don't know if I'd feel misgivings. I mean, I might not necessarily jump on the opportunity, but it depends. I mean, if it's a situation where it's like, yeah, I think I will have a good time there, even though this guy's an asshole.
You're like, I can't stand this guy, but I've always wanted to see that person in concert, and he wants to take me to this concert.
Yeah.
I'll go and put up with him because,
Yeah.
You wouldn't feel bad about that?
No.
I would.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I think if someone I did not like was like, hey, let's do whatever, something I wanted to do, I think I'd have to be like, no, thanks.
I'll pay for your seat to go front row Jokers. Hamilton, yeah.
I would pass.
Yeah?
Well, I'd feel like I was selling out.
Yeah. there's that.
You know, and I wouldn't want to have to put up with that person. And that just opens a door for them to be a constant part of your life from that point forward.
You're right.
And you don't have, like, you would be the complete asshole if then at that point you were like, yeah.
See, this is where we're different again, because I don't mind being an asshole. I mean, I'm not generally an asshole, but I have asshole-ish tendencies.
Try not to be, but once I am, I have to kind of stick with it, so.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would
10.
you rate...
Sorry, go ahead.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate American morals?
Oh, God. Oh.
I have a problem with this question, because, first of all...
You say American like we all have the same morals.
Yeah. I mean, the core tenet of America is individualism. So when you say, do Americans have morals? No. Does Kevin Rose have morals? Yes, I'm a 10. Does Kelly Rose have morals? Yes, she's a 10. Does pick a politician? Do they have morals? He's a
10, but he forgets to put the toilet seat down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen those things on TikTok?
But yeah, I mean, this is to me the wrong question. You don't judge a whole people. You judge an individual person. So,
I'm going with you on that answer.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you on that.
There you go.
You can't pick any group, a nationality, and say, how do you feel about Italians?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
Good food, though.
You have to just judge people on their individual basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come back and ask me about Joe Schmo. See how I feel about his morals.
He wouldn't even grab that girl's titty for more than a minute.
He wouldn't. He had pretty good morals.
There you go.
He was pissed, too, when he found out they all were playing him. Would you repay friends if your dog ruined something expensive of theirs?
That happened to us.
In this situation, my friend would not let me repay her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
let's just say Tilly did some bad things when she was young.
Yeah.
We offered, but...
We offered. So, yes, I guess I would.
But thankfully she said no because we were broke.
I wouldn't accept anything. If a friend of mine's dog did something to me, I wouldn't let them repay me for it either.
Because it's just an accident. It's a dog.
It's
Dogs
a dog.
get a free
Now,
pass.
if their cats did something, I might. No, just kidding.
The cat pisses on something. There's no getting that out.
Just kidding.
Would you allow your land to be developed if a species of mouse would go extinct? I mean, first of all, it's up to you.
That's what they're asking. Would you allow it?
I mean, whatever development is going to happen, it would be at my choosing anyway. It's my property.
The question is, it's your property. You get to choose whether you develop it or not, but if you develop it, it's going to extinct this species of mouse. Do you develop it or not? Your choice. What do you do?
Put a placard up for Jerry and say, thanks for the good footprints or whatever.
I mean, I guess it depends on, what you're developing it into.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a little tiny piece of property and there's 2 mice and they're the last 2 of the species, probably, because they're going to die at some point anyway, right?
You might as well just wait.
I mean, if you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of acres of land and you're going to kill off an entire,
colony.
I mean, it just depends on what it's being developed into.
Well, I mean, you could try and move them. You could try to humanely move them to a different land.
It's a mouse, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that does make a difference.
Yeah. Well, then you put a placard up for Jerry and say, hey, thanks, Jerry.
And I guess how much... What are we developing it into?
Yeah, I mean, there's too many question marks here.
Is there somewhere else we could develop it?
Yeah, why does it have to be
right here? Yeah. I mean, if whatever we're developing is going to end up, benefiting hundreds of thousands of humans, then I might consider it. You'd have to look at the benefit. I mean, if you're going to put up a bowling alley and it's going to kill a whole species of animals, then probably wouldn't do it.
But if we're developing low-income housing or housing for the homeless, shelters and whatnot, like a big shelter that helps them, like gives them an address so they can like get a job and get mail and stuff.
Or a children's hospital that's going to research the cure to children's cancer or something like that. I would then consider the cost versus the benefit of it.
Yeah,
might be in a different balance. It would depend.
And you dedicate
an
ICU
these questions
to Jerry.
You can't just give a straight answer. Like,
yeah,
it depends.
Too broad.
It's pretty broad. What would you do if you were eating at a restaurant and children at the table next to yours were being disruptive?
Shut the fuck up, kids.
You would not. You would never in a million years do that.
It happened to us one time at Yanni's, though. There was a kid who obviously we just let it go because this kid obviously had a severe case of autism, and he was screaming because they were
singing happy birthday to him.
And he totally lost his shit.
Didn't want that.
And, we were just like, that's all right, little man. And the people
were
apologizing. First of all, it was on the parent
to know he was going to act that way.
Yeah.
That I am much more patient with because the child has got special needs. If I'm at, and again, it depends on the restaurant you're at. If I'm at a Ruby Tuesdays, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Or it's not Ruby Tuesdays. What's the hamburger place? Red Robin?
Red Robin, yeah.
I mean, if you're in a family place, there's nothing you can do. If you're in like this expensive, exclusive steakhouse and kids are screaming and running all around your table and knocking into... I might say something to the parent, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Control your
I'm
kid.
very non-confrontational. I would maybe leave.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on where you're at.
Yeah. But there's no way I'm leaving Saganaki and Lamb Shank from Yanni's.
I probably... I mean, I may say something to the kids about, oh, guys, you got to not be running around. Like, loud enough for the parent to hear, maybe. Yeah. But you got to be careful these days. You say something and a parent snap on you. I watch TikTok. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take much for people to lose their shit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be at the receiving end of anybody losing their shit because I made a comment about their kid.
Oh, well,
you know
that's
what I mean?
when you lead with the throat punch.
No, that's when I just leave. Mm-hmm. You can throat punch all you want and go to jail. It ain't happening to me.
Would you admit breaking a rule for which you'd be punished or deny it knowing you wouldn't get caught? Who the fuck would admit the shit if they can't get caught?
Can I read? Would you admit breaking a rule for which you'd be punished or deny it knowing you wouldn't get caught? I would deny it if I knew I wasn't going to get caught.
Yeah, that's stupid. Who would sit there and say, oh, yeah,
why would you admit to something if you knew you could get away with it?
Yeah.
That's a dumb question.
Just one of those things when I yell at the TV when Mom's got the Murder Channel on, and particularly the ones where they're showing like real crime or whatever, and they all start talking to the cops. Shut the fuck up. Why are you talking to the cops? Even if you didn't do it, don't talk to them. What are you doing? Oh my God.
Oh man. And yet, I'm the asshole for taking Jeff Bezos' money out of his wallet. Which moral issue do people have the most trouble with?
Ooh. Probably abortion.
Yeah, right now, I would say definitely abortion.
Because, I mean, abortion's a hard one. I mean, I'm sorry, it is. You know, regardless of how you feel about it, you can say, oh, I'm all for it. But you have to, say, okay, at what point do you not do it? Like to the point of birth, or at what point in the 9 months is the stop point where you say, yeah, you can't really do that? That's something that people struggle with. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I struggle with it because I do believe in people having control over their bodies, but there's an innocent kid in there, so.
I mean, it's a hard one.
Yeah, that's got to be the hardest, like, moral struggle that people face.
I mean, yeah, for me, it's not my decision to make for anybody else.
Yeah.
What I would choose to do for myself, I wouldn't feel like I need to impose on everybody else making the same choice.
As a rule,
or being forced to make the same choice.
I'm the same way. As a rule, I'm the same way. I don't want particularly something like the government saying you can't do this, but at the same time, You're killing a kid.
Which, yeah, that's just a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't. I don't have.
Should have skipped that one, folks.
No, I just.
That's a moral
Again,
conundrum.
I sit on the fence with it because I believe parts of both sides of that. And I think for me personally, it's not something I would ever do. I don't think at any point in my life would I've been in a situation where I wouldn't have been able to handle that. But that's me.
Yeah.
So I can't put everyone else into my situation because they all have their own
100%.
situations. So
100%.
that's where I leave that. That's, it's your personal decision. And if you believe in God, it's between you and God, if that's how you believe. And
see, I don't think that there's necessarily a need for religion to
but
dictate whether or not
religion
you
is
want.
where the main anti-abortion
Probably,
is
but
coming from.
Probably, but I would say that it's not a requirement.
No, it's not a requirement. I mean, I don't necessarily believe that abortion is the right answer for me, and not for a religious reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying, well, I'm Catholic and therefore I don't believe in abortion. That's not why I would choose not to have an abortion.
Right.
I just don't feel like in my life I've ever been in a position where I don't think I could handle that responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I made an active decision not to have children.
Yeah.
So, but if at any point I would have gotten pregnant, that would have been the path my life took me. Like...
We sweated it a couple times.
I mean,
so.
I don't...
Yeah.
I wouldn't have... But I have lived a life of a certain amount of privilege where I've never been in a situation where I had no means to take care of myself, or I've never been like traumatized by any event or anything like that.
Yeah.
I can't put myself in some other person's place and make that decision for them.
Yeah.
That's not my responsibility. Now, I'm also not going to go out and join in marches and protests. Because I consider myself pro-choice. Because I am. It's my choice. It's your choice. It's yours. But I'm not going to go out and like shout to the rooftops because I have a personal feeling about it's a personal issue and it's not for me to shout to the rooftops.
There you go.
So
I think we're in agreement.
Yeah. It's that's why these are moral questions.
And morals are a personal thing. I mean, you can't really even project your morals onto somebody else. You might not agree, that in whatever their actions are, and it may go against your morals. But to judge somebody by your moral standard, I mean, I guess that's something you do, but it's
everybody does that, though.
Yeah, everybody does that. I think what's missing in the country now is what is the common moral standard. What's the common belief?
But you know what?
Because I think that's long gone. I think that's totally gone.
Where you say, you're judging people on, you're basing them on your moral standard. I don't choose my friends based on, like, I would not say I don't want to be friends with that person because they've had an abortion.
Right.
Or I'm not going to be friends with that person because they're gay.
Right.
Or because they choose, to not eat meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are really serious moral issues. Those make up who you are. But you have to acknowledge that everyone has the right to make those choices for themselves and then respect it.
Yeah.
And a person is more than just their sexual identity, their gender identity.
Absolutely.
Their political identity.
Yeah.
We're more than just that.
Yeah.
People need to look deeper.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah. That's why we're so awesome.
That's right. High five.
Way to go for us. Way to go us. Is it my turn?
Nope, I got my last one. What program would you like to see started in your community to help at-risk youth? Well, that's interesting. Before the pandemic, there was the Something in the Water concert, which was a huge success. Pharrell, who was from here, did this huge festival concert that was extremely successful. And it wasn't just a music festival. They did all kinds of programs for and setups for education and youth outreach and everything else. And it was just not only wildly successful in that people enjoyed and had a good time, but there was seemingly a lot of good that came out of it. And some shit happened and that went away. I mean, the pandemic caused it to go away, and then there was a big falling out between the city and Pharrell, and that, hoping someday that will get corrected. But that was just a bright spot that I think if it came back, there would be a whole lot more benefit from something like that than any other program that I could think of.
I think also that we need to realize as a community, and again, this goes kind of back to our last conversation, that we have to respect the differences in everybody.
Yeah.
I teach students that have backgrounds that I cannot identify with. Yeah. Because I didn't live them. And I think to say, well, we need to give you this and we need to give you that, and we need to give you this, and we're going to make it easy. Sometimes that has the opposite effect when you just hand over everything. I think we need to come as a community and say, we need to really have some respect for these for everybody's cultural background. Mm-hmm. Stop just wiping that away as, oh, now they're telling me I have to be culturally responsible. It's a reality. There are kids coming with different cultural backgrounds. We need to start recognizing that and then meeting those things in a way that's meaningful to them. Mm-hmm. Because a program that would be meaningful to me might not be. It's more like, what are you just trying to tell me how I should be living? Mm-hmm. You want to point out everything that's wrong with what I am currently doing? Yeah. And I think kids are left to their own devices too much. Yeah. They're on their own. They're exposed to things that developing brains shouldn't be exposed to at very young ages. Yeah. The levels of violence they're exposed to, the levels of, family drama, abuse, hunger, homelessness, and then all these other social things happening on top of that. Guns being so prevalent and readily available and not responsibly owned. There's so many things that the kids today, this is just their normal. Yeah. When I was a kid, thank God social media didn't exist. Yeah. And we played outside until the sun went down and the porch lights came on, and we might leave in the afternoon and my mom wouldn't know exactly where we were at. We were at someone's house, That doesn't really happen much anymore. Because you can't trust that some crazy person's not just going to snatch your kid up. Yeah. It happens all the time. Teenagers are getting snatched up and put into these sex trades, and you just can't.
End up on Epstein Island or something.
When I was 18, I got on a train and went to New York City with my friend. Mm-hmm. And we were on our own in New York City, never have been in a big city before, the two of us. I can't imagine today being okay doing that, because the dangers out there are ridiculous.
Well, but last year, Liam and Cole were able to go to D.C. largely.
They got on a train with us. They got off a train with a family member. Yeah.
They weren't completely on their own, but...
Yeah, it's just... I don't know what programs we could put in place. Anything we put in place. You're also assuming there that the government has the ability to put something in place that's going to help those people.
Well, that's why that was so great. Though Something in the Water was great because I don't think because it was largely. I mean, the government let the local government let the stuff go down, but they were largely out of.
Well, they were very involved in it.
They weren't as involved as I don't know.
I mean, they were.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a responsibility to keep your community safe.
Yeah.
I don't know. If we had the answers, then we wouldn't have at-risk students anymore. We wouldn't have children experiencing. It's just this horrible mix of violence and drug abuse and desensitization.
Yeah.
Being desensitized.
Yeah.
That kids experience, and then where they're developing brain, drugs they put these young kids on, adult doses of like major depressants and things. Like, those are things we need to be looking at. Like, what are the long-term effects of all of that? Mm-hmm. I have had students who couldn't tell me how many siblings they had, because they have multiple siblings in different houses with different names, and the family structures are different than they were when we were kids. Good, bad, or indifferent. They're different. And we need to start figuring out how to reach those families. This last question is, and I'm just yammering on now because I don't have the answer to that. Mm-hmm. Have you chosen not to purchase an item for moral reasons?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Never bought a hooker. I mean, I've never been into drugs at all. Even the stuff that's now legal, like pot, I've never done it. Not for.
I think they're talking about like Hobby Lobby. There's all this stuff against Hobby Lobby, and some people won't shop at. I'll go to Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. If I were, here's the thing about that though, because as somebody who's libertarian, if I only shopped at places that supported libertarianism, I wouldn't have anywhere to shop. So it's like, if I had to watch movies where it was just libertarian actors, then the only thing I'm watching is Penn and Teller and fucking Vince Vaughn movies. That's it. So, that standard of, I'm only going to shop someplace if they support my viewpoints and my political views. Well, you know what? Pack sand, motherfucker. You're just, first of all, you're limiting yourself, and you're an asshole. There you go.
I don't have a problem with anyone who chooses not to give their money to a business or an organization whose beliefs are in contrast to theirs.
Right.
You have the right to make that decision, make you an asshole.
That's your standard with everything you purchase. You're
I know, but if it's something you're aware of.
Yeah. Well, maybe it should go back to the way it used to be, where people didn't know where a company's political stance was.
No, I think you make the decision for yourself whether you're willing to do it or not.
Yeah.
I am generally... I don't connect it. Like, I'll shop at Hobby Lobby if I have to. I don't go in there and spend a shit ton of money at Hobby Lobby. I might go in there once a year. I go to Chick-fil-A quite frequently. I know people who won't eat at Chick-fil-A because of various reasons. And that's fine. I would never force them to eat at Chick-fil-A. I would never suggest we go to Chick-fil-A. If I know I have friends that won't eat there, then I don't eat there with them.
Yeah.
That's their decision and their choice, and I respect it the same as I hope they respect mine to eat a fucking sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit in the morning, because I don't feel like it makes a huge impact that I'm not going there every day.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen the lines at Chick-fil-A? Me not going isn't going to change anything.
Yeah.
So I choose not to do that. Now, has there ever been a place that I've said I won't go to for reasons of I just disagree with?
I can't think of anywhere.
I can't really think of any.
Now, I'll not go somewhere if they've given us bad service or the food is bad.
Right. Or the seating is ridiculous, or they're always crowded, or, there's lots of reasons not to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever said, okay, well, I'm not going to go there because, like, I feel like just recently there was something we were going to be like, I just won't buy that anymore. But I can't remember. I've already forgotten what it is. So I just don't think that way. Yeah. I don't think that way. And that's not I'm not trying to say that I'm better because I don't think that way. I don't.
Yeah, but you are. You're a better person.
No. Oh my God. See, he's wrong. I saw a cartoon this morning, a TikTok, and it was the guy, and he had like this, it looked like a body, but he had like stuffed a pillowcase or something to look like a body, and he was on 911. He's like, oh, my girlfriend, I think my girlfriend's dead. And they're like, oh, you know what happened? And he goes, well, we were arguing. We were having this argument, and she said I was right. And now I don't know, she just collapsed over, and I think she's dead because she admitted I was right about something. And they're like, well, sir, all you have to do is tell her that you were wrong. You were... He's like, what? But I wasn't wrong. I was right. Sir, your girlfriend might be dead. So, but you're wrong about this. I mean, you have your opinion, but I'm not going to call someone an asshole because they won't go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I mean... That's not true. I know people who won't go to Chick-fil-A and they're not assholes.
They're not an asshole.
So, he's trying to be funny. When the cameras are off, he doesn't talk like that. He's trying to be all bravado. Anything else?
Let's see. Let's take a quick look at the Good News Network. What we got? We've got...
Is Biden's speech with the red background and the armed military people in the Good News Network?
No, it's not. Jesus Christ.
Boy,
somebody should get fired
I
for
didn't
that.
listen to the speech because it wasn't on any major network, which I thought was unusual.
Yeah.
He gave a speech at like that a lot of people are talking about, but that wasn't covered by national news. But I saw pictures. I haven't listened to it, but boy, the pictures just don't look good. The optics are not good.
He's standing in front of Independence Hall with red light, lit up red, and Marines armed behind him.
Why was he?
And
why was the red light thing? What was that?
Just light it up white. Do a white
blue.
light, or blue, or just whatever. Just Jesus Christ. Whoever did that needs to fucking
fired.
Lose their job.
Yeah, it was. It looked so bad.
Oh my God.
And you don't need to give anything else for him to look bad. Like, stop giving these meme makers fodder for memes because. All
right, so the brightest Jupiter in 70 years appears in the east 2 hours after sundown, thanks to near perfect opposition.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Interior Department to plug more than 10,000 abandoned carbon-emitting oil and gas wells in 24 states. All right. Audubon Society enjoys huge turnaround in the term and puffin population of Maine.
Wait, can I? Sometimes the way you read your Audubon Society enjoys huge turnaround in the tern and puffin populations. Yay! I love puffins.
Yeah?
I think puffins are like one of my favorite animals.
Really?
Have you ever seen a puffin?
Like
the picture? Right, that's a puffin.
No, I've never seen one.
Oh my gosh. I think it's at the National Aquarium in Baltimore. I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have a puffin exhibit. Mm-hmm. And you could watch them, and they would like climb up on the ledge, and they'd dive, and you'd see them swimming under the water.
I remember
and
those.
Stuff. Oh my gosh, they're so freaking cute. I could sit there for hours and watch puffins.
I'd go back to that aquarium. We went once, wasn't long after we got married. It was good. It was a good aquarium. No.
Yay on the puffins! That is good news.
Hilarious scarecrow competition attracts thousands to village.
People having fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Humble leaders inspire greater cooperation amongst groups of teachers and workers of all kinds.
Okay.
All right. Tribute to Mikhail Gorbachev.
Oh, he died, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
91 years old.
Wow.
The man who ended the Cold War. That's a little ambitious.
Was he a part of ending the Cold War then?
He was a part of it, yeah.
Okay.
Largely Reagan and Pope John Paul. Probably.
What's the news source that says he's the one that ended it?
Well, it's the Good News Network.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess it's...
yeah, okay. I didn't know if they were pulling it from another...
Yeah.
Okay.
No. God, he did not age well.
He looks exactly the same, only a little bit older.
Mm.
No one ages well, Kevin.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Tom Cruise.
Jesus Christ. We watched Maverick. Great movie. Honestly, it was... really, really great movie. The mission was very Star Wars, but What are you gonna do?
It was a good movie, and I'm not a Tom Cruise fan in general.
Yeah.
But he looked good.
It was crazy.
His face is aged. Like, you
and-
can see a little age in his face. His
Yeah.
little wrinkles and whatever. But, boy.
But the
He
stuff
was holding
with,
his own with those young guys, though.
Yeah. But the stuff with Val Kilmer was I mean, you just got to watch the movie. It was great. It was fantastic.
They handled that so good. It was really very touching. Great movie.
Yeah.
From this non-movie buff of a person.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Watched it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. That's
All
it
right,
for
I
this
think
week.
that's the end of episode 74.
Yeah. Like, comment, share.
Episode 75 brings...
You're going to have kids?
There's a lot going on this week. The kids are coming Tuesday. My sister's coming Saturday, Friday.
No, Friday.
And the Logan family, brothers and sisters
They make the trek
are
down
coming
on Sunday.
for a week in Sandbridge.
So we're going to help them get into the house.
Gonna move them in. Kevin's gonna haul stuff.
Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. So yeah, busy week coming up.
We
It's
got
not
a
going to be
lot
the
going on.
standard, we don't have anything to talk about.
A lot going on. We got a lot going on this coming week.
That's right.
All good stuff, though.
Yeah.
All good. All right, so you all enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Enjoy your last little bit of summer here. And we will see you back here on September 10th.
Next week. We'll be here next week. All right. Bye, everybody.